Robert Townsend, great to see you again. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Robert is a filmmaker, writer, director, Hollywood Shuffle from 1987, also the Five Heartbeats. He's been an actor in tons of things, Soldier Story, among others. That was an early role for you. So you're here, you've programmed 2 movies.
Yes, sir.
There's no conceivable way anyone ever in TCM has put these 2 movies together. We're starting with Here Comes Mr. Jordan from 1941, and then obviously following it with Network from 1976. I'm not missing a connection. These are just 2 movies you love, right?
It's really 2 movies that I just love. When I was a kid, I saw Here Comes Mr. Jordan from Chicago, so I grew up on the west side in a really rough neighborhood, and we had this little black and white TV, and the movie's in black and white, so I couldn't tell if it was color or not. And I just fell in love with it. And it was just magical and special. And I thought the acting, even as a kid, I was like, this acting is amazing. And this story is so original. And then I later found out that it won the Oscar in 1941 for the writing.
Yeah, for Best Story, because it was based on a play
Heaven Can Wait.
Called Heaven Can Wait by Harry Siegel. And then the screenwriters then also won the Oscar for their story, Seton I. Miller and Sidney Buckman. This is the movie that Warren Beatty's 1978, Heaven Can Wait, which when I was a kid was one of the first movies I ever fell in love with in the theater, is based on the play.
But here's the thing that I would say about Here Comes Mr. Jordan. It was the original, and this film is so well directed, so well acted, the story, the music, and it's got a wonderful cast.
Yeah, Robert Montgomery stars a boxer named Joe Pendleton and plays the saxophone horribly, and early in the film, he appears to be headed toward a violent death.
Right, and we think he's dead, and then we find out that he's been saved by this angel.
Right, an inexperienced angel thinks, oh, I don't want him to suffer. He's obviously gonna die. I'll just take him now. So this is about his effort to, because his soul is still alive and he wasn't supposed to die, this guardian angel and his heavenly boss have to step in and find a body for him. Like that movie, and there's gonna be a girl, and like the movie could be so saccharine, so silly.
Yes.
And somehow we're totally bought in here, and Here Comes Mr. Jordan. Like what does the director have to do to make that happen?
Well, it's the director's touch. This director is absolutely amazing.
Alexander Hall, yeah.
Alexander Hall.
He was nominated for Best Director. This is his best known film.
Well, I think everybody in this film is so well cast. Max Corkle, oh, come on. He's just wonderful. That's James Gleason.
That's Gleason.
And Claude Rains is perfect because you know him from all these movies, Casablanca, you name it. But in this one, he has those little wonderful moments that you buy him as this supervisor of angels.
Joe, you'll always be yourself. You'd merely be using Farnsworth's physical covering, like donning a new overcoat.
He sort of has this way and the manner of speaking where he's above it all. Like he knows the human reaction to everything. Only Robert Montgomery can see Rains and hear him. So there are scenes where the other actors have to pretend like Claude Rains and Robert Montgomery aren't there. I just feel like only an actor of Claude Rains' presence would even work staring in the background, because even when he's staring at the background, I'm like, what's he doing? What's
yes,
that? Yeah,
he's still, but the thing, going back to the directing, because here's the thing, you've got a world that you've created, and you've got to play the symphony. I can see you, you can't see me. He can see her, he can't see. So the way they do it sometimes, and that's where the layers of comedy come in, because you have where, Robert Montgomery is talking to Mr. Jordan. He can't hear me. Mr. Jordan, he says, Joe, you can make him hear you. And then he goes,
Max, turn on the radio, Max, turn on the radio.
Then he turns on the radio. And here's the thing, Robert Montgomery, he never played characters like this before. He played in those big high society movies. And so this was a stretch for him doing this. And I think people really fell in love with him.
Yeah, and he got that Best Actor nomination too.
Yeah.
All right, Robert, this was great, terrific. Let's watch the movie, more to say afterwards.
Yes, sir.
Here it is, from Columbia in 1941, directed by Alexander Hall, Robert Montgomery, Evelyn Keyes, who's wonderful as his love interest in the film, James Gleason, Edward Everett Horton, and Claude Rains. And Here Comes Mr. Jordan. Back with writer-director Robert Townsend, who picked Here Comes Mr. Jordan, and obviously we'll follow it up shortly with Network. I gotta know what drew those together. We'll save that conversation for Network. So this movie gets an A from me, right? I mean, I love Here Comes Mr. Jordan. But maybe because I love it so much, I have a similar reaction that I have to Heaven Can Wait, the 1978 remake of it, written, directed, produced, and starring Warren Beatty. I think it is BS that he cannot remember the original person. Part of Joe Pendleton's soul is Joe Pendleton's memories, the things that mattered to Joe. I know why we do it, because we want that ending where there's recognition in the eyes between Evelyn Keyes and...
Which is a great scene.
But it still feels like you have to let him retain some part of Joe.
Well, so let me say this. I think...
I would be angry.
But see, the thing is that the way they wrapped it up in the writing, because she goes, what did he say? If I were to ever meet a boxer. And then he goes, yeah, there's something, I don't know. There was something about your face that I feel. And so the transition when he's in the shower.
This is your road, Joe. From now on, you're K.O. Murdoch. There'll be no more memory of Joseph Pendleton.
That, to me, built the bridge. When you have a fantasy movie, you have to know the rules of the world.
Right. You can't
and
break
so
it.
In the rules of the world, Mr. Jordan said, hey, I'm going to make you champ. You're going to get the body. You're going to be champ, Joe. It's written that you'll be. We didn't know it was going to be Murdoch, you know, but you're going to be champ. So I love that as a director, because I was like, okay, how's this going to work? So he goes, goodbye, Joe. You're not going to remember any of this. And then when he comes out and then he sees Corkle, and Corkle goes,
what did he do to you, Joe?
What are you calling me Joe for?
He also has the moment where Corkle, James Gleason, hands him the saxophone. He's drawn to it even though he can't quite figure out
You know
why.
what was so beautiful about the performance there? It breaks your heart because he doesn't say anything. He just takes the sax and he's there looking. I know what you're saying, but for me, I felt that Mr. Jordan, you know, everything he promised, he delivered on.
As a kid, you got moved by it. What? You remember? What do you think? You were 10 years old, older? What?
When I was 10 years old, they used to call me TV Guide.
Is that right?
Because I lived in a rough neighborhood and all I did was watch TV. So I kind of, like when Malcolm Gladwell talks about your 10,000 hours, mine started at 10 years old because I was watching everything. And, you know, like back then, if it was like the Wizard of Oz, I'd never gotten my brain if it wasn't for you. I could do every voice, every character. Well, dag nabbit, I wouldn't have out of town by sundown. Every Western, everything. So when it came to Claude Rains, I used to do him in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. The boy is wrong, the boy is right, the boy, you know, that whole thing. So in this film, when he's at the piano and he goes, Joe, they're killing him right now. I'll collect the body soon, Joe. We've just got to wait. You mean, Mr. Jordan, they're doing it now, Mr. Jordan? Yes, it's very peaceful. And the way Claude Rains plays it, and then he goes, if I could just be Farnsworth for just to help her out. Yes, Joe. You can help out, Joe. You know, the way he did it, you know what I mean? So this film is one of my favorites.
You get that there's a manner in which Everett Horton does not calm him in any way.
Right.
But man, Claude Rains just like brings down the temperature without ever saying calm down, right?
Yeah.
And your imitation of Claude Rains literally sounded also like James Mason in Heaven Can Wait.
This man must be put back into his body at once.
Yeah.
No, see, I used to do James Mason. Joe, let's go now, Joe. He has that lower voice, Lolita. He has that kind of sound in his voice. So when I was a kid and I would watch him, and he would, you know, what is the one, A Star is Born? Yes. Very well, yes.
It's a very talented impressionist who can distinguish between Claude Rains in Here Comes Mr. Jordan and James Mason in Heaven Can Wait. Well done. Your next film, also a great pick. I'm going to ask you when we start on the next film if you see a connection between these two films. All right. So stay with us because coming up from 1976, William Holden, Peter Finch, Beatrice Straight, and Faye Dunaway in Sidney Lumet's Network. Back here for round two with writer, director, actor Robert Townsend. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So you picked two movies here for our 2-for-1
Yes.
franchise. You started with Here Comes Mr. Jordan. Now we get Network, 1976, William Holden, Faye Dunaway, Peter Finch, directed by Sidney Lumet. Notably, the first time we see the words Network in the opening credits, it's Network by Paddy Chayefsky. Like the writer doesn't even get a written by. That's how much the screenwriter mattered in this one.
Well, let me say this. Paddy Chayefsky saw the future. He says this is where television is going to be headed. And, you know, when I look at this film, this is a masterclass on writing. This film is just a beautiful symphony. Every note is played, every actor is well cast, wonderful performances. I mean, Beatrice Straight, she's only on screen for 5 minutes and 2 seconds, and she won an Academy Award.
Best Supporting Actress.
You know, so that's a lesson for every actor watching the show right now, that there are no small parts. But I just think that starting with Paddy Chayefsky, he deserved that credit. His name could have been even bigger because he just really, he did research. I mean, the writing, there's monologues, there's a sense of knowing the world of television and what was going on back then.
Yeah, so this movie opens, they've created a fourth network. In addition to ABC, NBC, and CBS, there's UBS. They're in fourth place, they're the worst network. And they're gonna fire their longtime anchor, their Walter Cronkite, Howard Beale, played by Peter Finch. And William Holden runs the news division. And then Faye Dunaway, the other critical character here, has been brought in by Robert Duvall, who runs a big conglomerate. She's the head of programming, nothing to do with news, but she is the mouthpiece for where Chayefsky thought television was headed.
I wouldn't interfere with the actual news itself, but TV is showbiz, Max. And even the news has to have a little showmanship.
Paddy Chayefsky was giving us a glimpse into the future. Like, there would be reality shows. There would be shows like, you know, so-and-so and so-and-so, the killing, and we're going to figure out who killed the person, and it's all based on real stuff. So when I look at, you know, network, it is someone not unlike A Face in the Crowd.
100%.
Which
made
is
19 years earlier by Elia Kazan with Bud Schulberg's screenplay.
And I think they looked at that film as well to say, hey, there's devices that Kazan created in A Face in the Crowd, and how they shared the story of Lonesome Roads and that whole journey. So I think it applies to Network, because that's another one of my favorite films. But I think with Network, they took time. Paddy Chayefsky really took time to say, what is the future going to be?
I haven't read this, but I know it's true. You just got right to it. There's no way that Paddy Chayefsky didn't see A Face in the Crowd, I'm sure had loved it all his life, and thought, I can't believe how right these guys were, Kazan and Schulberg. And now, though, I got to write a movie that's going to show just where we're headed, like to make people realize, because it's as if Chayefsky thought, people don't know how right they were, and I'm going to let them know how right they were. And this movie, Chayefsky basically sold it as satire, but there's not one part of it that really plays as satire now.
Let me say this. I got in trouble. They did something at AFI with Rob Reiner when they said the 100 funniest screenplays, movies of all time. And I was on a panel, and I said, you know, Network, because this is really a funny
Really
movie.
funny,
It's
yes.
a dark comedy, but it's funny at its core, and it still holds up.
100%.
So tonight, when people watch this, they will see how the industry shifted and changed, because everything that's in this film happened, and it continues to happen.
That's right. You know, I'm so moved by the things that are famous in it, including Howard Beale's most famous line is in it. You'll know it when you hear it. But so much of the movie in setting it up is we see Howard Beale have a psychological break with reality. We get a lot of that. We get a good bit of William Holden and Beatrice Straight's relationship, and we get much more of Robert Duvall than I remember.
You are talking about one of the greatest directors of all time with Sidney Lumet. So you've got Dog Day Afternoon, you've got Serpico, The Verdict. The performances that he got out of these actors, and Paddy Chayefsky has written his butt off so that they've got to deliver monologues. So, you know, this film is, you know, I love it. When I saw it back in the 70s, I was like, oh my God, it has always been one of my favorites.
All right, we got to watch the movie so we can talk about it at the end.
Yes, sir.
A lot happens at the end of this film. Here we go. Here it is from 1976, screenplay by Paddy Chayefsky, directed by Sidney Lumet, amazing cast, William Holden, Peter Finch, Robert Duvall, Ned Beatty, Beatrice Straight, and winning the Best Actress Oscar, the great Faye Dunaway. This is Network. You have meddled with the primal forces of nature, Mr. Townsend.
You got to do this too.
Yeah. Oh. That Robert Townsend joins me. He picked this movie. He picked the film before it, part of his 2-for-1 presentation tonight. I mean, that Ned Beatty speech.
It is ebb and flow, tidal gravity. It is ecological balance.
I lived on Beechwood Canyon for a lot of years, and Ned Beatty lived across the street from
In
the
Los Angeles,
cafe.
yeah.
And then when I see him in the cafe, I go like, you, and he would laugh, you know, every when I see him. But let me say, as an actor, I heard that he wasn't the original choice to play this part. Somebody fell out, and he had 4 days to learn that monologue. Paddy Chayefsky is writing these intense monologues, lines, da, 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 and there's a rhythm and a frequency. So you need a really strong actor to capture the cadence of all of that. And so when I'm watching it, and then when I read up, on it, because this is one of my favorite films, he only did 2 takes.
Is that right?
2 takes. And Sidney Lumet, as a director, he's the actor whisperer. He gets in your ear. And so I'm watching, and that performance is just goes.
Yeah, and we've managed not to really talk about Faye Dunaway or Peter Finch, both of whom won the Oscar. Finch, Best Actor in his last performance. He died while promoting the movie. And Faye Dunaway for Best Actress in such an incredibly rounded, when she's excited, you can't take your eyes off her. And then in that last scene with Holden, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I love you. And that painful, decaying love is the only thing between you and the shrieking nothingness you live the rest of the day.
Then don't leave me.
I was doing a television series called Soul Food, and they said, oh, your guest star is going to be Faye Dunaway. She's going to be the star of the episode. And I was like, oh, really great. She was playing some kind of editor of a magazine or something, and she had a 3-page scene. And here's the thing, she's a big star, so she would go, I'm gonna go over here to the window, I'm gonna go to the window, I'm gonna come around here, then I'll turn around here, I'm gonna sit on the desk, I'm gonna come around here, then I'll come around. And so then, this is television. Television, you only have so many setups.
Right, we don't.
So I'm like, well, I was thinking it was going to be like this, and I was like this, and then she goes, darling, that's boring, and I was like, oh, and the whole crew's looking at me, and I'm like, oh, shit. And so then I go, okay, let's do it your way. So then I said, you're going to go to the window, and I'm like, that's 2 setups over there, 2 setups over there, 2 setups over there, 2 setups over there. So anyway, she does the first take, and I go, okay, we'll just follow her in the master, 2 cameras, and she goes, and then after the end of the take, because I was seeing that she was tired, and she goes, darling, let's do it your way. But here's the thing. When I was working with her as a director now, I saw Bonnie and Clyde. I was like, oh my God, there it is. I saw Network. And I had so much respect for her because I saw the woman that had to fight, in the man's world to say, I don't want to do that this way. I need another take. I had to hold a loving space for her because I go, this is a legend, like bona fide Hollywood legend. So when I look at Network, and she won the Oscar for it, she gives a tour de force performance.
It's just brilliant.
It's just brilliant.
So you started with Here Comes Mr. Jordan. Now we get Network. Why on earth did you put these 2 movies together? Is there a tie-in, or is it just 2 movies that in different times of your life you loved?
Well, here's the thing. Here Comes Mr. Jordan is my childhood, and Network is the adult. And so that's why I was like, oh, when I was a kid, 10 years old, watching Here Comes Mr. Jordan, and then as an adult, sitting in the movie theater in New York, Times Square, watching this film and laughing and going like, what the heck? How did they do this?
So 2 totally different kinds of movies for 2 totally different audiences, in a sense, and you certainly, like both delivering an emotional punch, that even though they're entirely different kinds of movies.
The thing for me is that I love movies, and so I want to share 2 movies that really mean something to me. So that was at the core of why, because Here Comes Mr. Jordan, a lot of people don't know, they know Heaven Can Wait. And then as it relates to Network, there's a lot of people that don't know Network, but then this film is so timely to what we're going through right now. So that's why I was like, oh, I want to share this as well.
Yeah, Robert Townsend, this is great.
Thank you, man.
Great to see you again. Thanks.
Great seeing you.
Robert is done for the night, but of course the movies continue here on TCM, uncut and commercial free. Stick around for Noir Alley with Eddie Muller.